Everyone, Otsukimi, and this is it's gonna be just a quick video about some of the things I use to prep for small coins. I maybe haven't said this to everyone, but I'm doing kind of a small cap series now. It's probably just gonna be maybe 10 videos, whatever makes sense, right? Probably just 8 to 15 minutes a piece. I'm gonna try to keep them really short because I know I can talk for a very long time. But it's going to be like a mini series on YouTube, just going over like small caps, how to research, how to dive deep into that. And one of my biggest reasons for doing that is one, and I said this before, seems to be a lot of engaging content for this. A lot of you guys seem to want this. And also two, I see a lot of people online not knowing how to talk about this properly. And so that's usually in the form of larger influencers that should not be talking about coins that are under $2 million. Because if they mention it once, they could triple the price. They've already bought in probably, and so now they're going to be selling when you buy in. So they are using you to do this. The reason I'm going to show you all this is to also kind of prove to you, like, I'm not in it to, I'm in it genuinely because I'm buying small caps and I am, investing in them, so to speak, and flipping them. But I'm not here to use you in that way, right? And I'm going to just show you how to do it yourself. That way you can do this on your own. You can do this on your own time. You don't have to tell anybody about anything. And so that way you're not influenced by other people. You're not even influenced by me. I'm just going to show you the secrets that people use. And a lot of them, what I found out is I do look at things differently the way I research. But we'll get into that. So this video is just going to be an overview of how to, like, the tools I use and some of the ways that you can use those tools. I have a 2-hour video about how to research for small caps and things. It's actually behind a paywall. It's part of my Apex Academy. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Just DM me, message me, and I can make that work. I was actually going to have that part of like an online course that you could buy, but I might isolate that, and if there's enough interest, I'll try to make something happen with that. So that being said, we'll just kind of do an overview of the tools I use. I mainly just use 3, honestly. We kind of go into that, and maybe I'll show you a few tips for each one. All right, so I really use 3. One of them is TradingView, but I'm going to go back to this one later on because most of you guys know how to use TradingView, and I think there is a requirement of some key context before we cover this. So the first one is actually going to be CoinGecko. Now there's a lot of similar data providers like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, things like that. Now CoinGecko is probably the most popular of those, but why would I use it over CoinMarketCap over some other ones? So one thing you got to understand is the whole coin process. I'll get rid of that stupid ad there. So so I've worked with over 150 small cap, maybe 120 small cap, or just projects. I've worked with VCs. I've connected with them. I've never, ever worked on the pre-sale side. I've always worked on the post-ICO sale side. Like, I've worked with companies before they hit their ICO or IDO now, or whatever they call it nowadays. But I've never touched a coin that I've worked with before pre-sale. It's not actually legal in my country, so I don't do that, right? And so, I've made a personal choice to not do that as well. It's just easier to do it that way, for one, and I have a good conscience. Like, I sleep better knowing that. But one thing that I noticed is that this is related to the process, not the actual coin value itself. Just to be aware. So when I work with a coin, typically they try to get as many partners as they can, and some of that is trying to get themselves listed on CoinMarketCap, for example. Well, this isn't CoinMarketCap, right? They try to get listed on all these places everywhere they can, just because, hey, they need validation, right? They have nobody. They've got one business partner, which is the VC they're working with, and they need assistance, right? So the reason I know those products, I know where they go, but I don't go there because I know that at that stage, that is not necessarily a reliable source to find a good coin. I'm not saying that those projects were bad or good. I'm saying is everybody does that. Everybody. And so that is your step 1 journey on the way. The way I look at small caps is I don't look at the first step in that journey. My goal is not necessarily to get the coin as cheap as possible. It is, but it also isn't. I'm not interested in pre-sale tokens. For one, I can't legally do that in my country. And I don't plan to change that. I don't plan to run around, go different. I don't plan to do any of that. I wait until they have a public sale, always, because by then you've already, let's say there's 1,000 coins that go through that process. Only 600 of it make it to public sale. So now you've vetted that process. Yeah, I didn't get it as cheap as I could have, but I've already guaranteed the flow of process. And that's the reason I go to CoinGecko, is because CoinGecko is kind of like that last stop to filter out all the legitimate from the illegitimate ones. Because the legitimate coins are going to show up on CoinGecko anyway. And I'm not saying they're all legit either. By the time all the coins that go to CoinGecko have gone there, you've already vetted out all the crappy ones. So if it gets listed on CoinMarketCap and doesn't get listed on CoinGecko, that's not a coin that I'm wanting to care about, at least for that long-term flip, right? So that's how I'm playing into that. And so one thing that I see with this, and this is a tool that I use often. It's very simple, right? I go up here to just look at these tabs, and there's plenty of other things I might do, just a dedicated video for each of these tools. But for now, I'm just doing an overview. So go to cryptocurrency tab, go to new cryptocurrencies. This is primarily what I look at. In fact, I think I will show you a dedicated video because there's more of a process here. So this is one of the two things I do on CoinGecko. And this shows you last added 7 hours ago. You had iETH. I don't even know what this is. I have no idea. I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know if this is stupid. Looks like it's pegged based off of Ethereum right off the bat. So that's something I'm not interested in. But this was added 7 hours ago and has a total of 27,000 value. And so that tells us a lot of things. One, it was added less than a day ago. We know it's pegged to Ethereum. We know the volume, right? So that gives you an insight. And I'm not saying, I don't care about this, right? This video is not about caring about these particular coins right now. It's just showing you the tools. So this shows you when they've been added. It shows you the FDV, and it shows you the 24-hour value, and then it shows you the performance. And so it's basically categorized that way. And so one thing that I do is, and you can see here by the time you get to the bottom of the tab, you have a 9-day swing on this. Typically I look at this about once every 2 days, 3 days, so to speak. Like, I remember looking at this one, Nut, and it's been there for 9 days, so I know that I don't have to look for very many coins. And so that's one thing I do. Another thing I mentioned on the previous video, you just go to regular cryptocurrencies by market cap, and now you can kind of filter them out. And so, as I've said before, small caps can be very subjective. Like, what market cap are you looking at, right? And so what I told you guys in the last video is I go to at least the 800, the 800, or I think it was 900 actually, because 50 million is okay. That's a pretty large small cap in my opinion. But I tend to go a little bit smaller than that. And so I usually start at like the 900 and lower, and that's kind of where I do it. And CoinGecko lets you do both of them. So the reason, again, CoinGecko I use over other ones is because it's already done its own vetting process, right? And like for L, for example, I know that's an old coin. This is telling me that it probably doesn't have much support anyway, especially like under $100,000. So that's not a coin I'm interested in. But then you start here, you filter through the list, right? And you see which ones you like, and you keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. And there's different criteria what to look for. Again, that's the next video. So I'm gonna go over the other two products, and then we'll just keep going with this. All right, so the next tool is actually DexTools. And so this is something that you guys may have seen me use in both my previous videos. And it's something that I'll be using a lot more when talking about small caps. This is just a platform that allows you to check the data for certain things. And it will show a lot of coins that aren't listed necessarily on CoinGecko as far as the data as you want. So this is a good example right here. This is Paul. This is the main interface. You can use this button here to increase this, and you can chart this out. It has a built-in TradingView, so you can do your lines, whatever you want. It doesn't let you do alerts, doesn't let you save everything necessarily. It will save it, I think, based off of your local computer or something like that. What you can also do is connect your wallet, and I don't connect my wallet. I don't really need to, and so, but you have a dashboard right here. This let you see the winners, the losers, all this other stuff, and you got your, you do swaps, things like that. I don't use most of this, honestly. The biggest thing I use is mainly just the search bar, and like, let's say I want to, these are my previous searches. I'm not really hiding anything, so you can just hit Paul for Paul swap. And typically, that's going to be the first. It's not always the first one that comes up. So one thing you want to notice is, first of all, you want to notice if it has an icon. If it has an icon, if it's this is not what you want. You want to have an actual image uploaded to this. If you know what chain it is, you can filter that out, but usually that's never been a problem for me. Another thing is, you can look at it by the Dex score. This is 99%, so this is pretty good. These both in general are pretty good. I think the only difference is this is for the Shiba chain. This is for the Uniswap Ethereum chain. That's the only difference. I've been using the top one. And that's another thing. You can look at the performance. You can look at liquidity and the volume that's incorporated in that. And then you can also hit favorites if you want to. And so you need to check to make sure, right? And so that's one thing you need to keep in mind. So you can just click on that, and this shows you all the data that's involved. Two things you want to know. This is the token address, right? So if you hit this if you click this button, that is the address that you can use for Uniswap or whatever coin that it's on, or whatever exchange that it's on. This is what you need to know, because if you go to Uniswap, it's not necessarily going to tell you that, hey, Paul's on here, right? You need to add that to do that. And this is the pair address. I don't really care about that too much. And these are, if you have any doubts, you can just click on this to see it in CoinGecko. You got your Twitter. I always verify it to make sure, because you never know. You got copycats, you got all that stuff. So this is your chart. This is your Dex score. And this is kind of your information. This is a total market cap of almost 50 million now. So it's not a small cap anymore. When I got it, it was 2 million. So as you might expect, this was a good trade for me. This was probably my best small cap trade in probably a year and a half, just because last year was a bad year for everybody. So as far as finding gems, but this is what you see with all that. And then you got your total value locked, all that stuff. So this is a good tool. You also see your hot pairs up here. I don't use it too much, but I do use it in some way. But I like the search bar, because you can search by pretty much everything. So this is really, really good. I enjoy it. You can add indicators if you want. I've got the ARUN, I got the RSI, and it does save the ARUN for some reason. So I'm not sure if that's my computer. I think so. I think it's just based off of local stuff, but overall, that's pretty good. So I want you to keep this in mind as we go to the third tool. And so the third tool, it's TradingView. Okay, it's pretty easy. Everybody knows TradingView, but keep this in mind. So Paul and then WETH. So we're going to go over to TradingView, and the reason I wanted to mention TradingView is because it's just so helpful, right? Like I have indicators that I use, and some of them are custom, some of them are just basic. But what you can do is you can set alerts, right? And so, for example, I got my color band strategy. That's a custom one that I can use. I can put that for anything, right? Well, one thing that most people don't really realize is you can look at Uniswap on TradingView, and then because I can do that, I can do Paul and then WETH. And so now this is basically this. But when I incorporate this, I just click on it, and now I've got, you can see I've already messed with it a little bit. Now I have a more streamlined process. Now I can incorporate TradingView aspects on this, and this is something that's a little bit, I feel like this is a beta thing. They don't say it's beta thing. I say that because it's calculated by TradingView. It's not necessarily completely accurate in that regard, and it doesn't have the numbers here, but it has the flow, right? This is the 4-hour chart. And so one thing I can do is, like, I have Apex, my Apex indicator. That's part of Apex Academy, which is a paid thing. I also have this as a bot, which also is a paid thing. But again, let me know, reach out to me. If not, I'm going to be reaching out to everybody in a couple weeks. But as you can see, I got the buy-in down here. And so this was very helpful to me. And so that's one reason. If I take this roughly, even if I'm generous, I got 11x. So that's very helpful. And then I can set this alert, right? I can go, I can go to my apex indicator. I can hit buy, and then it'll incorporate all my stuff for me. So that's very handy. And I'm saying if you have a custom indicator, or you are looking for something like the apex to do that with, TradingView maximizes that opportunity. So those are the 3 tools I use. I'm going to cover, I think I'll cover 3 more videos for each of these tools. I might combine TradingView into one, but we'll see where that goes. Anyway, this is the video. Sorry to keep it short, but that's the 3 tools I use, and I'll explain more about it as we go throughout the weeks. Thanks.